Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare. So welcoming all of you for the class today. Shashikala Mataji, Shraddha Mataji, Manas Prabhu, and Mohini Mataji, thank you so much for joining. Right, so we will try to conclude the chapter 6 today. I thought I'll do a kirtan, but then since I want to conclude the chapter, I'll not spend time with the kirtan today. So this is Dhyana Yoga. Yesterday I had given a complete summary of Dhyana Yoga right in the beginning. So before we begin, let's pay humble obeisance to the beautiful. Can you see the slides changing?
Yes, Mataji.
It's changing, you can see, no? Okay, now you can see Radha and Krishna, no? All right.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, thank you so much, Mohini Mataji. So, let's pay humble obeisance to the very beautiful deities of Shri Radha Govinda temple. And let's pay obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, his disciple, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj, and his disciple, Temple President, His Grace Namisha Das Prabhu. I also pay my humble obeisances to my Guru, to my Shiksha Gurus, Aishwarya Mataji and Rashi Mataji. Before I start the class, I would like to take their blessings. नमो ओम विष्णु पादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेषाय शून्यवादि पाश्चात्य देशतारणे ओम अज्ञान तिमिरांधस्य ज्ञानांजन शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपं कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवं च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतम सावधूतम परिजन सहितम कृष्ण चैतन्य देवम श्री राधा कृष्ण पादन सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितम च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपति गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So yesterday we understood the two sections clearly. We saw how when you advance in yoga, whichever path you choose, detached work is a must. Not fulfilling all your sense desires is a must, whichever form of yoga you follow. Only thing is in Krishna consciousness, you engage all your senses in spiritual activities, but then again you prevent your senses from seeking lust with the material senses. Then we saw in section 2 the Yoga Ruda stage. We saw the difference between the initial stages of yoga and the higher stages of yoga. And today we are going to do from 6.10 onwards, and we'll try to finish all the verses. We'll be going through further stages in when you're practicing yoga. What are the higher stages? And then we will look from 6.33. So these stages will be described in so many verses. It's like 22 verses are dedicated to explain how to do Ashtanga yoga. And then Arjuna asks about controlling, about how difficult it is to control the mind, and he says, "I can't do it." And Krishna says that no, you can through detachment and practice, and through practice and detachment. And then Arjuna asks a wonderful question about the unsuccessful yogi, and Krishna will explain the highest yogi. So we have gone through all these slides in great detail yesterday. Let us come to the slide about the Navavidha Bhakti. So yesterday we finished all these yoga ruda. Yesterday we had ended with the Nava Vidha Bhakti. So let's start from there. These are the Nava Vidha Bhaktis, which is Shraddha, faith, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, and Prema. Prema is the highest. So in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, these same stages are explained. Like in the beginning, there will be a desire. The whole spiritual life begins with a desire for self-realization. You feel that I've had enough of this life in material world. There's nothing which is really giving me any sort of permanent joy. And then you seek out for something which is real and permanent. That is when the desire comes. Then what will happen once you get the desire? You will try to get association of people who are spiritually advanced, who know what is life, who know the Gita's message, who know what is Krishna, the supreme person telling us. And once you start getting association of spiritually advanced person, then the next step is you will become initiated by an authorized spiritual master. So that is what all of us are seeking. I am personally doing that. I'm really trying to get Diksha, but I'm not qualified yet. I tried last time, I didn't succeed, but I'm still going to persist. Yesterday itself, Ashura Mataji's class, she was talking about her Srila Prabhupada. Initially, he met his guru and then he actually took both the initiations together after 10 years. So I am ready, I'm totally not qualified. I'm ready to wait for 10 or 20 years, how much ever, but I really want to pursue. And I think so once you get this desire for self-realization, and then you get association of spiritually advanced persons and you start understanding what really the Gita is saying, what is Krishna's message, then you will have this strong urge to be initiated by a master, an authorized master. Why? Because then you will become serious in your devotional service. Otherwise, if we don't take Diksha, what happens is we don't become serious. Moreover, once we take Diksha, once we become an initiated devotee, the Guru takes away all our karma. And then we start from zero. And then when we become pure like that, with no, sinful reactions from the past and karma from the past there, of course, there will be some, disturbances in life, because just as when you turn off the fan, it will not immediately stop like that, it will keep moving for some time. Likewise, once you take Diksha and the Guru has taken away all your sinful reactions and your karma, then it's not like it'll immediately all the difficult things in your life will stop. It will continue for some time, and then you will also be able to accept whatever comes as Krishna's mercy. And so your whole perceptive will be different. You'll be looking at everything with a jnana shakshu, which will give you peace. And so I feel the next step, which is getting initiated, is really, really important, so that we will strictly perform, devotional service, which otherwise we take a little bit loosely. So then, through execution of devotional service and all the regulations under the guidance of the spiritual master, what will eventually happen? Then you will automatically start becoming free from all material attachments, and then you will achieve stead. Now, even if you have a little bit of material desires, you cannot even think of all this. You'll feel like running away. So, unless you become pure and then you start having the urge, I don't want to have attachments, I want to have only attachment to Krishna, then you will achieve your steadiness in self realization, and then you will start enjoying hearing about Krishna all the time. You don't want to do anything else. You only want to hear about Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is a higher taste. Like I said yesterday, you will develop a higher taste. And then what will happen? It will lead to further attachment. Then you will go from there to the bhava stage. You'll be, the pure love first stage. And then finally you will reach the prema, which is the supreme perfection, which is samadhi. So what is the conclusion so far? What have we understood? These are the points that we understood. First, we have to have faith. Then we should feel that there is nothing imperfect or unjust in the creation of the Lord. So what happens is most people, I want to just share with you that, including my children, they look at the world, they see so much of injustice, and so they cannot believe that there's a God. If there is a God, how can God be so cruel? How come there is so much of injustice? So there is no God. They don't want to believe at all. But when you start understanding that everything that you think is unjust is actually not unjust, it's all just, it's all perfect. Nanushra Das Prabhu says that there is nothing which is wrong in this whole universe. Everything is perfect and everything is just. The only thing which is not just is that we are not chanting. We are not realizing the purpose of human birth. That's the only thing that is not perfect. Otherwise, everything is perfect and just in this world. Everything is an arrangement of the Lord. Whatever happens, if you just are able to think like that, you will find so much of peace. You will not be bothered by whatever comes in life. And then you will have, there'll be layers of meaning which one for the commoners and one for the Shuddha Bhaktas. So as you start looking at the world, even in chapter 3, Krishna explains, don't try to talk, to all those non devotees because they will not understand. At the same time, don't distract them from the work that they are doing. Let them continue their work as materialists. Don't disturb them. Demonstration of sacrifice and detachment is what we saw in these verses. And everything in scriptures cannot be seen with material eyes. So it is stupid for us to go after some totally materialistic people because they will not believe it. They say, I will believe only what I can see with my eyes. Only when they start believing in the scriptures and then they can start seeing the world with jnana chakshu, then their whole perception will change. So, with that, we are going to go deep into Ashtang Yoga now. So, Krishna is going to explain the 8 steps. Asht means 8, Anga means parts, yoga, Ashta Anga Yoga, 8-part yoga. And so, Krishna will describe very beautifully in this verses from 10 all the way to 32. And the result of Yoga Rudha, which is the highest stage, ultimately is that people who reach that highest stage, they can actually experience Krishna as a super soul in their hearts. So the lower stages are called Yoga Rukshu and the highest advanced stage is called Yoga Rudha, in which stage you will not feel the need or necessity to do any work. You will be supported by, somehow circumstances in life you will be supported. And then you will not need to do any work. But that doesn't mean you will stop working. You will still work further because you need to guide the other people. So, what is the usual kind of yoga that we see around us? The usual kind of yoga would include like this, but we think that somebody who is there, like Valmiki, fully in a ant hill, covered by ant hill. Or you may think that, oh, so there's a yoga for the dancing chair. They will sit around a chair and dance around it, and then they will say that is yoga. Or for pregnant women, there is special yoga. Yoga for cats, there is even yoga for cats. Then there is what do you call it? Then there is this yoga for the offices and all that. So there are so many kinds of yoga, but all that is not really yoga. Even this is not really yoga because this is not communion with Krishna. This is just collecting money and showing some feats. They get siddhis and they try to show that and they use that to see. He's put a cloth over there. Use that to get some money. And in the office also, they do this is stupid thing called beer yoga. So many things you'll find, and that's all meaningless. Actually, they just want the employees to work with more concentration after doing all that yoga, so that their profit will increase. Everything is very very selfish actually. But Ashtanga Yoga, which Krishna is going to explain, is 8-limbed connection with God. That is 8 limbs and it's a connection. So, who is this little baby's hand in a mother's hand or mother or father's hand? That is our connection with God. So, what are the 8 stages? It begins with Yama. The Yama are all the external disciplines, which says do this, do that, do this, do the Yamas. Niyama is the internal discipline, which is don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. Those are all Niyamas. Once you start following the yamas and niyamas, then you will learn how to hold a posture for hours together. Just breathing very slowly till shallow till almost you're not breathing, and you'll be able to hold the posture for hours. That is the asana stage. And then when you start, you're able to sit in that for posture for a long time, you will get complete breath control. That is the pranayama stage. And then comes the pratyahara where you don't feel attracted to anything around you materially. You're able to withdraw your senses, but that's not actually a permanent withdrawal. Srila Prabhupada says that in Ashtanga Yoga, those who withdraw their senses is very forceful and artificial. So it's not lasting, but that is the next stage. And after you have controlled your senses, your breath, your mind, and your body, you doing all these things, then you will start getting concentration. That is dharana. And from dharana, you will become absorbed in your meditation. That is dhyana. And at last, union. When you get actually feel oneness with Krishna, you will feel the Paramatma within you. That is called the samadhi union or the integration. So, this is what the yogis actually achieve. Krishna explains in all these verses how you can achieve that. How can you achieve yama? Krishna says you have to live alone in a secluded place, which is not possible in Kali Yuga. And you should always control your mind. So, this one is actually Krishna is declaring that this is what you're supposed to do in Ashtanga Yoga, but we all know that this is not possible. And then Niyama which is 6.17 verse, he says, you must have very yukta hara viharasya. You should be very balanced in eating, sleeping, working, and recreation. Right? So this one also we have heard of the shloka several times. I think many people quote this sloka, yukta hara viharasya. Yukta cheshtasya karmasu, yukta sapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkhaha. So that is yoga, is what Krishna is. That is niyama. Don't eat too much, don't sleep too much, all that. Then comes asana. In asana, what should you do? How do you, how do you do the asana? Asana is you have to sit in some posture. You have to lay the kusha grass on the ground. You have to cover it with a deer skin. Some people will say, "Oh my God, these yogis are supposed to be, vegetarian and they will not kill animals." And here they're killing a deer and sitting on the skin, removing it. That's not how it happens. There are old deers who die, and then they take a dead deer skin. They don't kill a deer for that skin. And the seat should be neither too high nor too low, and it should be placed in a sacred place. And you should be able to hold your head, neck, everything in one line and stare at the tip of your nose. Actually, when I was reading this first time, I tried doing it. It's so tough. You just can't stare at the tip. Then I thought maybe Krishna means that you just need to half close your eyes so that you don't look around. And it was very difficult. Obviously, Arjuna himself says it's difficult, then what for us? So, with an unagitated, subdued mind, with no fear, no sex life, you're not interested in sex life once you do this Ashtanga Yoga, and then you'll be meditating upon Krishna. Then the pranayama stages, you will practice stopping the movement of the outgoing breath into the incoming and incoming into the outgoing. So those who do for a long time all this yama niyama asana will be also able to do the pranayama where you become into a stage of trance. In 6.15, Krishna says, you will stop all material existence itself. You'll be able to do that once you become the Ashtanga yogi. And then dharana, Krishna says that disciplines is, once you start getting the stage of dharana, your mental activities will be disciplined and you will be situated in transcendence with no material desire. So now you have attained in dharana, you actually attain yoga or union. And then dhyana is when you become perfectly like a windless place, how a lamp will burn, will not even waver at all. That kind of transcendental whose mind is controlled and is steady in meditation. When you do dhyana for an adequate amount of time, that's when you get the highest stage of samadhi, where you will never be shaken, whatever happens. Even an earthquake comes, you will not shake. That is actual freedom from all miseries, right? So, this is the yoga ladder. There's Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga, which Krishna will be explaining. So, there is no possibility of becoming a yogi if you eat too much, or sleep too less, or work too much. So, all these things are explained in the Bhagavad Gita, how much you should work, how you should be, in control. So, Natya Shnata. So, this is the verse number 16. Verse number 16 is telling us that there is no possibility of becoming a yogi if you eat too much, or eat too little, sleep too much, or sleep too little. All of these should not be done. That is 6.16. And 6.20 to 23 are also really, again, very important. What are the shlokas from 20 to 23? It says, यत्रोपरमते चित्तं निरुद्धं योगसेवया यत्र चैवात्मनात्मानं पश्यन्नात्मनि तुष्यति सुखमात्यन्तिकं यत्तद् बुद्धिग्राह्यमतीन्द्रियं वेत्ति यत्र न चैवायं स्थितश्चलति तत्त्वतः यल्लब्ध्वा चापरं लाभं मन्यते नाधिकं ततः यस्मिन् स्थितो न दुःखेन गुरुणापि विचाल्यते तं विद् तं विद्या दुःखसंयोग योगसंगितम्. So what is Krishna saying in this in a stage of perfection called trance or samadhi? What happens? The mind will be restrained from material activities of the mind, and then you'll be practicing yoga, and the perfection is characterized by your ability to see the self or your soul or your atma. You're able to see it through the transcendental senses of yours by a pure mind, and then you'll be able to relish and rejoice in the self, and in that joyous state you will feel boundless transcendental happiness, which is realized through transcendental senses. So it's not that you feel the joy in your material body. By the time you'll be able to awaken your spiritual body, and you'll be able to feel the joy which is transcendental or spiritual, and thus you will never depart from the truth. Once you really understood the truth thoroughly and you've experienced and applied it, It will never go from you. And once you gain this state, there is no greater gain. There's nothing greater in this whole universe. That's the highest. I was saying in today's assembly, the thought I was saying that a person who is truly happy or the richest person is not one who has more things, but one who has the least need for anything. Who is the richest? So, established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, when you reach it, you will never be shaken. When you reach the highest stage, it actually incorporates bhakti. Then there is no more, falling, even in the midst of greatest difficulty. So, this is actual freedom. When you reach this, there are no more miseries, and that is freedom, not the Independence Day of India. Oh, yeah, independence. That's not really independence. Independence is when your body becomes free from the contamination, no more impurities or sinful reactions and karma and everything. You're all transcended it, and you have become free from all kinds of work. That's called true freedom. That is, basically self realization or samadhi. Nature of the mind, Krishna explains in these verses. Number one, he says it's very flickering. The mind will never stay in one point. It will keep on jumping from one to another like a monkey. And it will go on raising doubts due to attachment, and it will rationalize attachment. So, mind is very, very sharp. It will make you feel that, why should we do this? Krishna consciousness is too tough for me. I can't do it. Why does it raise all these doubts? Because you are still so much attached to the material world and your sense, the desires that you want your senses to enjoy, material senses. And so what will you do? You will try to rationalize. Oh, so many people are living without Krishna consciousness. I can. What's the big deal? They're also living their lives. Why should I, do this? And so your attachment to material world, you will try to rationalize and justify. You'll find reasons to say it's okay, so that you don't really push yourself into the tough path of achieving the goal of human life. And the mind is also very obstinate. It will cling on to the attachment. It's very difficult to have control over your mind and teach it to follow Krishna consciousness. And then the mind is also very strong. It's difficult to remove lusty thoughts from your mind. Once they come, it's so difficult to remove them till you go and engage your senses on that. It's very tough to cut out from the different sense urges that we feel. And then easier, for example, if there's an ice cream in the fridge, you want to eat it and you want to go on, you just can't stop thinking of it. So that's how your thoughts will come and force you and obstinately try to take you away from Krishna and put you into Maya. And the mind is actually easier than to control even than a hurricane. Of course, we can't control hurricane, but Arjuna can control even huge hurricanes and create a hurricane. All that he can do. But then still he says, in spite of that, I cannot control my mind. Hurricane will break down all walls and come without any permission, right? So that's the way the mind will be. It will just come like a hurricane, and all the different tough decisions that you made, I will chant every day. The mind will come like a hurricane. For example, yesterday I couldn't complete my 16 rounds. And then what happened? I was thinking, surely somehow or the other at night, I will not sleep before I complete. And then the sleep comes like a hurricane. It'll break down all your walls of determination. Just go to sleep. And morning, I had to spend extra time to finish off the rounds yesterday. So that's how the mind will be. It will just come like a forceful thing and stop you from doing your devotional service. So you have to be very, very strong and determined to continue. So Niruddham Yoga Sevaya in this verse means that you stop. Niruddha means stop. Yoga Shastra says Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, which means that yoga is Nirodha. What is Nirodha? Stopping. What will you stop? The Vritti. What is Vritti? Movement. Movement of what? The mind. Chitta. So Chitta Vritti Nirodha. That is what is yoga, is what the scripture is saying. So, because of movements of the mind are quieted, once you do that, you start controlling your mind and don't allow it to, stupidly jump from here to there. Then you will be able to disidentify from them. In fact, only when you disidentify with your mind can you start controlling it. Otherwise, you'll just follow. You'll think I am the mind. Whatever the mind is saying, you will do it. And what will happen is, because of the movements of the mind are quieted, then you will be able to disidentify from your mind, and then you will get a pure consciousness. So happiness is at three levels. One is all the sense gratification, temporary material happiness. Little higher is when you get happy and feeling of liberation. You see Paramatma in your heart, and you're able to identify with the whole Brahman around you. You know that Paramatma is there in every atom, and so you feel a kind of liberation, great joy in that. But the highest is when you do Krishna consciousness, which is bhakti in the service of the person named Krishna. That person, the God as a person. And 6.24 says one should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. You should abandon all material desires born of speculation, and thus you should control your senses from all parts of the mind. 6.25 says that gradually, step by step, you become situated in a trance by means of intelligence sustained by full conviction. So you're going to be able to have your intelligence and your full, power within your power. And the mind will be fixed on the self alone and as if there is nothing else. And then from wherever the mind wanders, it doesn't mean that, oh, now I am able to do yoga, I'm able to be in Krishna consciousness, so my mind is in control. No, the mind will still be like a monkey. So what should you do? When you're chanting or whatever you're doing devotional service, the mind will go here and there. What should you do? Keep bringing it back. Wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, you just have to be mindful and withdraw it and bring it back. Like I told you yesterday, this mind is a material thing. It's in your control if you choose to control it. Then Krishna says, a yogi whose mind is fixed on me attains the highest perfection of happiness. If you are able to fix your mind all the time on Krishna, you will be able to experience transcendental happiness because Krishna is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity. As a soul, you will know that you actually same qualities you have as Krishna. Only thing is, it's a very small quantity. And once you understand that, you will become free from all your past deeds. So, the self constantly engaged in yoga practice becomes free from all contamination and achieves the highest happiness, which is transcendental loving service. And then in 29, Krishna says, a true yogi observes me in all beings and sees every being in me. Such a person, once like we saw yesterday, looking at the pebble and a stone in the same manner, looking at go into the office, somebody who really cares for you and somebody who has been backbiting you and spreading bad things about you or has been trying to put you in trouble. Both of these people you'll be able to look at with one eye. Can you believe that? It's such a huge high level of thinking. A true yogi will be able to see Krishna in everybody and everybody in Krishna, everything and everybody. Such a self realized person will see Krishna everywhere. That is a stage we all have to try to reach. Because one who sees Krishna everywhere and sees everything in me, in verse 6.30, Krishna says, I am never lost to them and they are never lost to me. We are always together. Such a yogi who engages in the worshipful service of the super soul, knowing that I and a super soul, Krishna, the supreme person, and a super soul sitting within your heart are actually the same. They are the persons who are the real yogis. He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees true equality of all beings in both their happiness and distress. Even when people are happy or when they are sad or when they whatever their behavior, every time you are able to see the self which is there inside them. Then we come to the next section, which is how can you control your mind? Although control of mind is difficult, control of mind is very important. Don't think that I can't control my mind. So many people are living in the same way, just doing whatever their mind is saying. Why? I also want to be like that. No, you have to work towards Krishna consciousness. Now that you got the knowledge, don't go back. Move forward. Take step by step, make strides forward, and don't be afraid to engage yourself in Krishna consciousness because the reward is highly, highly, unbelievable. It's really great to be able to not go back have another body in this birth, but you have to give the price for it. It's not cheap. You have to put in austerity and you have to put in the efforts. And Krishna says it's essential control of the mind and it is obtained by practice and detachment. And then this is an example of Arjuna looking only at the eye of the toy bird which was hung up there. Likewise, here also the fish are there, the rotating wheel is there on top. Looking at the reflection, he has to shoot so that he can win over the hand of Draupadi. So, these are all the different examples of how people are in focus. And then this is example of Shiva, I think. It's an example of Shiva when he was a hunter and how there was a fight, and how this it shows again the concentration power, the mind power. So here we can see how Arjuna and Krishna are actually Nar Narayan. You know, they were there for thousands of years as Nar Narayan rishis. And how, in spite of being such great people, still Arjuna says, I can't, Krishna, I can't do that. Oh, Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you summarize is impractical, unendurable, and my mind is so restless and unsteady. Arjuna says, I can't do that. Oh, Madhusudana, it's so difficult. My mind is restless, it's unsteady. He says, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavad dridham tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkritam. Vayoriva means wind also I am able to control, right? But I cannot control my mind. So that is what Arjuna says. But Krishna, the mind is difficult more than the wind. And then he says, Krishna is answering. He says, Asamshayam Mahabahu, no doubt about it. Mano Durnigraham Chalam. The mind's movements are very, very difficult to control. But tu means but. Abhyasena, with practice, but, O Kunti son. Vairagyena cha grihyate. Grihyate means get. You can get control over your mind by abhyasena and by vairagyena, which is detachment. By suitable practice and by detachment, you will be able to do it. So, two things are needed to control your senses and your mind. One is you have to practice. You cannot say, "Oh, I can't do," and just be without doing it. You have to try. You have to put the practice, and you have to then get detachment. Detachment comes automatically, actually. As you chant, you will find detachment will come by itself. Then Krishna gives his opinion. He says that one whose mind is unbridled, once you make your mind in your control through practice and through detachment, then your self realization will be very easy. It's not difficult work. But your mind is unbridled means it is difficult. Unbridled means uncontrolled. And whose mind is controlled, they will surely get success. Therefore, the mind must be controlled. How? By constantly doing transcendental loving service to Krishna. Unless Krishna is there, you cannot control. You say, I'm going to just look at the empty space or look at a dot and I'm going to not talk like in Vipassana. Not going to open my mouth and talk, and I'll not use my mobile and newspaper, and I'll be in full control of my senses and my mind. No, you can't. Your mind will still keep on jumping. You'll not be able to unless you engage it in Krishna consciousness, which is by which it will become spiritual. You cannot control your mind. Only the Krishna conscious person will be easily able to do this controlling of the mind because he's engaging it. He's not keeping it wastefully, just doing nothing. He's not doing that. He's engaging it in the service of Krishna. Then the section 5, the second last section, is that the destination of an unsuccessful yogi. So when Arjuna asks, "Oh my God, Krishna, this is so tough. I don't think I can do it." And what will happen if we don't succeed in this life? I am trying my best and all that to become into a yogi, but then I suppose this whole birth is over and I still didn't achieve the highest goal of getting back to the spiritual world. Then what will happen? Neither have I achieved the goal of being a great yogi, nor I've given up all my material things. I don't have any more riches or anything. I have I do I materially also I'm lost. Both places I'm lost, and what will happen to me? So Krishna will say that unsuccessful transcendentalists actually get heavenly enjoyment. Either they will go to heavenly planets because they have tried so hard, they have earned such a lot of punya. So they will go and enjoy in heavenly planets, and or they have in the earth itself, they will get a very aristocratic, rich family's birth. So whenever you look at all these big people's son, right? Like Ambani's son, or big shots, rich people's son, like Trump's son, or what's that person's name? Who is going to Mars. I forget his name with E. Uh,
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Elon Musk has got so many women and so many children. So all of them, the births are simply because they have earned the pious act. You can't say, "Oh, it's pure luck." There's no luck. Like we just saw in a few slides before. They are all there in the position because of the pious deeds that they've accumulated. But then, based on what they're doing in this birth, they will reap the whatever the results either in this birth or the next, based on the nature of the action done. So it's like different kinds of seeds. Some seeds, if you buy a seasonal plant, you plant it within few days, it starts growing, and then within another 1 or 2 weeks it will start flowering. But if you buy some, a tough a tree or something, you will plant it for many years. It will be a sapling. Then for many years, it will become a tree. Then again, after some years, only it will give you fruit. Similarly, different kinds of karma are like different seeds. And every time you do a karma, some of the seeds are the karma that you're doing. You will immediately get the result. For example, you don't study for an exam. That's it. You will fail tomorrow. You have an exam tomorrow. The result is already there the very next day. But some of the actions, that you have done, good or bad, it needs years or sometimes many births for it to be fulfilled. So there's just a seed that you lay when you are doing some karma. So those who get into heavenly enjoyment and aristocratic birth and all that, when they are pious, that they have accumulated the pious, you get all these brownie points sort of thing. And when it is over, or suppose you go abroad and you have a lot of money, you go abroad, you go for a holiday, you have a nice time. Your money is over, you can't go on staying there for endless, right? You're paying for such a lot of, for all those 5-star stay and all that. Your money is going to get over, you have to come back home and again get back to working and earning, right? So similarly, when you go to all these heavenly enjoyment, because you have worked so hard in the spiritual journey, then you come back again, but you will not lose the spiritual knowledge that you have got ever. It's forever. Why? Because you will be also born. When you come back onto the earth, you will take birth in a family of wise transcendentalists. If you are really reached a high position, you won't even have to have all this heavenly enjoyment because you don't want them. You're not desiring them. Then you will straight away get into a family of transcendentalists, and from small age, like you can see some small children, right? There's one Bhagavad, what's his name? That little boy. He is so advanced spiritually. Even in our temple, Aishwarya Mataji's son, Jagannath. Minal Mataji, one of our colleagues in Bhakti Shastri and all that, she was giving a chocolate to Jagannath, and he was like, Maya, Maya, and he didn't want to take the chocolate. He didn't take it. So, that is they've already achieved that, sense control and all. They've already reached such a level because they're born in a transcendentalist family, because they are already in the previous birth reached some high level in spirituality. So, what will happen to unsuccessful transcendentalists? Although he begins the process of self realization with faith, later, due to some worldly mindedness, he will not attain perfection. So, he is not, in this birth, he is not finished. So, in 6.38, Krishna says, O mighty and Krishna, Arjuna is asking, does not such a man, bewildered from the path of transcendence, fall away from spiritual and material success? So, he is neither materially successful like the wind being pulled from here and there. He has not achieved anything. He has not gained the water vapor enough to rain, and he has not achieved anything. He is just in between flying, from here and there in the wind. And Arjuna says, this is my doubt, O Krishna, and only you, except for you, no one can make me, understand, about this, that if someone doesn't achieve success, then what happens to him? That's so sad. So here we have this Ajamila, right? Ajamila had a huge fall. He actually was with a prostitute. He gave up his family members, he gave up his beautiful wife and children, and he spent whole life with a prostitute. But just because up to the age of 24, and probably in his previous births also, he has accumulated so much of punya, then, in spite of doing all this papa, because of his punya, he felt like naming his son Narayana. And at the moment of death, unbelievably, it's very difficult when you're dying and vapta, kapha, and all are coming and choking you, and it's such a painful moment. At that moment, to be able to chant or think of Krishna requires lifetime of practice. But just because already he has accumulated that punya, in the last breath, he was able to chant Narayana, due to which immediately four Vishnudutas appeared and stopped the Yamadutas from taking away the soul to hell for him to go through all the punishments for what he did. That powerful is the name of the Lord. So Krishna is saying, Partha Naiveha Namodra Vinashas Tasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyanakrit Kaschid Durgatim Tata Gachati. So the unsuccessful yogi, he will either be born in a good family, he will revive his good consciousness. Some people will of course not revive it also, but some people will revive their consciousness and they will naturally get attracted to the yogic examples. Here we have the example of Jadabharata in this picture. Jadabharata here, he is, kind of jumping about. He's carrying the king's palanquin, and there are four people carrying the palanquin, but he is not carrying smoothly. He's just hip hopping, jumping, and all. And then the king is very angry and shouts at him. And he says, I cannot kill these ants. I'm trying to walk without putting my legs on top of the ants. That's why I'm walking awkwardly. And when the king laughs at him, he gives some very philosophical points by which the king understands that he's not ordinary. And then he actually accepts him as a guru and learns so many things from him. So that's how it is. Unsuccessful yogi. After many years of enjoyment in heavenly planets, he will be born in a pious family, sometimes directly into a pious family if he is even more advanced. For example, Srila Prabhupada's birth is not ordinary. He took birth in the family of Gaur Mohan, his father, who was a great devotee. He wanted his son to be a devotee, and he organized, when he was just 5 years old, Prabhupada expressed a desire to do a Rath Yatra, and he actually organized it for him. And the whole neighborhood used to make prasadam when he was just a tiny little boy. Obviously, very, very highly elevated already. So when you take such a birth, what will happen is when you are already in a family which is full of spiritualists, and all your divine consciousness will come back into your mind, and again you will make further progress to complete your success. So that is what is going to happen if you take to devotional service. By virtue of divine consciousness of his previous life, that person, the little child, will get attracted to yogic principles even without searching for them. He doesn't even have to work hard to get all the knowledge. Because he's already, from the previous birth, he has reached a high level, he will just get it very smoothly. So, such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands above the ritualistic principles of scripture. So, once you understand the Gita, there's no need to sit and study all the Vedas because you've got the highest knowledge, which is Vasudeva Sarvamiti. So, when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor, then he will also get washed of all contaminations and he will achieve perfection after many, many births of practice. So, what happens to the topmost yogi, however, now in the last two verses, Krishna says, okay, I've explained all these things now. I'll tell you who is the topmost yogi. So, yogis are greater than empiricists, which is those who follow Sankhya philosophy, those who go through jnana, fruitive workers, and also ascetics, those who take to Ashtanga yoga. Yogis are actually greater than all of these. Of all the yogis, those who have full faith in Krishna, they are the highest. So, there are many verses in Bhagavatam which clearly says that some people may be very highly elevated, they might be doing so many sacrifices and so many things, but if Krishna is not there, then the whole thing is a waste, because you should have the realization of Krishna in the human birth itself, because that is a reason why we get the human body, for raising our consciousness, not to eat, slim, drink and mate, eat, sleep and mate, and defend like animals. So yogi is greater than the ascetic, greater than the empiricist, greater than the fruitive worker. That is, what does it mean? The real yogi, that is the bhakta, is greater than ascetic who's going into the forest searching for gyan, greater than empiricist like Sankhya, trying to analyze what is true, what is untrue. And even greater than the karma yogi who is offering everything to Krishna and doing, work, or who is doing work for his own satisfaction. In all these cases, the yogi is actually greater, the one in Bhakti Yoga. So therefore, in the last verse, second last verse, I think so, 47, I think there are 48, 47 only. So last verse, Krishna is saying that this yogi is the highest, and he says you should become a yogi like that. And of all yogis, he who abides in me with great faith and worships me in transcendental loving service, in most intimately united with me in yoga, and he is the highest yogi. So this is a very, very famous verse. You can learn it up. योगिनामपि सर्वेषां मद्गतेनान्तरात्मना श्रद्धावान् भजते यो मां समे युक्ततमो मतः. So this is an example of, I think, one of that Madhvacharya. Who is this? I can't remember now. And he is so engrossed in devotional service that he's not eating properly. He's in the hot sun, and actually Radharani comes and she puts her sari on top of him so that he's not getting the heat, and she brings some food for him. So when you become the true yogi, then we say that there's no need for work, because somehow whatever your basic needs are will be provided by hook or by crook by Krishna, not by coincidence and luck. So, and of all yogis, he who abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is united with me and is the highest of all. So, with that, 10 minutes before time, we have completed the whole chapter 6 today. And I think since we have done this also in detail in the level 1, also, I think I have gone through all this quite detailed only. Anybody, there are only three. I think Shraddha Mataji has left. Manas Prabhu, Shashikala Mataji, Mohini Mataji, you have anything to share? Any reflections or any questions? No? Shall I end the class? So we'll meet on Monday. We will start chapter 7. We are going to be doing Bhakti chapters, which are really delightful. So we'll try to finish. If we finish one chapter in every week, we'll be able to finish by February latest. 12 more. There are 12 more chapters. So in 12 classes, which doesn't even need February. If we finish in 1 week, one chapter, yeah, so 12 weeks will be required if we finish 1 week in one chapter. So in 12 weeks, which is, if you divide by 4, 3 months, which is November, December, January. We'll be able to finish the whole Gita by January. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you will be joining next week, Monday as well. Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so
Please
much.
share attendance link, Mataji.
Oh, yes. My goodness, I always forget that. I thought today I'm going to put the attendance link before the class. I mean, just as soon as the class starts, and then it skipped my mind. Yeah, I'll post it. Just a minute. Yeah, please mark your attendance and then you can leave. I've just shared it in the chat. Quickly mark your attendance and then you can leave. Hare Krishna. I wanted to sing Damodarasham or something today, but I wanted to finish the chapter as well, so I didn't do that. Okay. So shall I end the class?
Mataji, did you share the link? I'm not able to see it.
Yeah, I share it in the chat, Mataji.
Oh,
Yeah, it's in the chat. Just click on the link. I share it twice now. Not in the WhatsApp group, here in the chat of the Zoom.
Thank you for the wonderful class, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you
Hare
for
Krishna.